This is Gurley Vines, and welcome to the 4th episode of my Tarot Journal. On the last episode, I drew Art and Seven of Wands, I believe, which is Valor. Art is of the major arcana. It was the first card that I have drawn from that aspect of the tarot, and the Thoth tarot, that is. And the summary that I came up with of combining the energies of those two cards was that creative harmony requires a certain amount of embattlement, a certain amount of strategy, and it takes valor, it takes courage in order to be a creative person, and harmonize the energies within yourself in order to get the best output you can get, given whatever ideas that you have, whether you're a writer or you are a visual artist or you're a sound artist, you're a musician. You have to, in order to create, you have to find all the different ingredients that is inside of yourself or in your environment, and be able to bring those things together. And whether it's inside of yourself or outside of yourself, sometimes those different facets, those different moving parts, are not always going to want to gel so easily. And then that's where the valor comes in, because it takes bravery in order to have the stamina and the ingenuity to bring those elements together, and the patience, and the bravery, because sometimes some elements, a lot of people think they shouldn't go together. Say, for instance, you have a member of your work team who doesn't gel with others, but he's or she is good at a specific task, and you need that person on your team, but there's a clash of personalities. It takes a brave individual to negotiate those differences in order to have a more productive whole. And the same can be said about bringing together different aspects of one's personality. So that's what that was the summary that I came to, the conclusion that I came to, between the major arcana card of Art, which is also called Temperance in other decks. Temperance as in sort of tempering different aspects of oneself in order to bring about a new creation, in the Seven of Wands. So, I ate some cereal. I think I had a sliver of almond stuck in my tooth. Excuse me. How rude of me to do that on camera in front of strangers. People watching this will be like, he eats cereal and gets stuff stuck in his teeth and spits it out? Egads, that is obnoxious and unbecoming and uncouth. You do not spit almond from one's tooth. So I'm going to shuffle the cards. You guys should know the drill by now. If anybody's watching this, aside from my secret admirer, who may also be me, I have liked a few videos. Well, or no, I have not liked. I have. No, I have not. I'm going to keep you guessing on that. Don't you check. I think you can check on YouTube and see if I'm lying. I could be lying. I am a duplicitous individual. I dabble in voodoo and black magic and all these weird psychological things. I mean, you know, it's pretty untrustworthy, somebody that doesn't just take reality head on, you know, just take everything as is. I'm trying to peel back the layers, man. If there are any layers to peel back. So I'm shuffling the cards here. Let me get my knee up here. Let me get my... Just so you see how random this is, right? So you see that I think I saw a little peekaboo of a card. Let me shuffle that one extra good. Just because I saw it and I don't want my psychology and my perspective to affect me getting that card or not getting that card. I want to act as if the gods are speaking to me. And the best way to emulate the gods is to introduce randomness into my decision making. And I'm not really making any decision at all. I don't believe in free will or choice or any of that kind of stuff. I mean, I think that you have the illusion of making choices. It feels like you're making choices. I'm going to choose. Let's take a sip of coffee because I work nights and I am an exhausted individual. A little sip from my oversized cup. Cup so big that the coffee is lukewarm as soon as it hits the bottom. All right. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. All right, enough lollygagging. What cards am I going to pull? I got hands on 2, and I'm going to pull. Voila! Okay. These are interesting cards. These cards are kind of like basic in some ways, but don't be fooled. This is the 9 of Cups, and this is happiness. Okay? There are 9 cups here. They're just cascading fluid, white, creamy fluid is just gushing from 9 of these cups stacked upon one another. And the cups fill the page. I almost said literally fill the page, but that's unnecessary. They fill the page with the cups and the gushing from the cups. And there are flowers. There are also 9 flowers, and they're just gushing symmetrically, and a huge orgy of emotional cuppiness or happiness. I mean, and then this card is the Ace of Swords. Okay, I don't believe we've gotten an ace yet. The ace cards are the concentrated energy of each suit, of which there are 4 suits. There is wands, which represents the will or fire in an individual. And then there are the cups, which these are the cups. And the cups represent the emotional, psychic realm, the intuition, the part that says, I feel this. It comes before the thoughts, before the feeling reaches the rational mind. It's what you get at your gut. It's sort of like that fight or flighty, emotional, physiological, your blood is turning with the tides of the moon kind of thing. It's subconscious, sort of outside of your control. It's whenever you see you see something sad and you just start sobbing uncontrollably, whether you're sad or you're just absolutely happy. It just triggers all these weird things that are kind of uncontrollable inside of you. Although the logical swords try to control this emotional realm. And the next suit is the sword suit. And the swords are the mind, the intellect, consciousness, what separates us from the animals. It's our thinky bits. And it is the most unforgiving of the suits because whereas there's the will, which is the compulsion to do, the natural energy of a person to get up and go, and which my energy is rather low. Donald Trump would be very disappointed because I just got such low energy. And then there are the cups, which are also sort of uncontrollable. It deals with different types of energy. So like cups are emotions, and emotions just kind of happen. And then energy, fire, you either kind of have it or you don't. I have very little fire in my chart. I do have some. I've known people who don't have any fire in their charts, or they don't have any of one element. I have all the elements. I got a lot of cups in my astrological chart. I'm a Gemini, so I got that mental thing going on. Very mental. And I got a lot of earth in my chart. And I only have one fire placement, but it is in my first house. And the planet Uranus is in Sagittarius, and that is my fire. So since Uranus, depending on your sense of humor, my fire comes rather abruptly. It's not fixed and steady. It comes out in really weird ways. So I do have it. It's just kind of weird. And since it's in my first house, I sort of personified that weird fiery aspect. Anyways, it's neither here nor there. Oh, and I have on my neck, I have Uranus, the tattoo that is a symbol for Uranus, in as a tribute to my first house placement. And then the discs, or the pentacles, as they are called in most other decks. This suit deals with the earthy material realm. So the other suits are more energies, and then the discs are the actual physical. You got your wood table, you got your body, right? The physical presence of an individual, which is also energy. It's all energy. So, the aces are the budding essence of each of these suits. So the Ace of Wands is like a huge, erect, and it's, they're all very numerical. So the Ace of Wands is a single wand, and it's just springing forward, like bam, it's a big wand, and it's like jumping out at you. And that's that fire energy that is just being born out of the ether, seemingly, or the Godhead, or whatever you want to call it, and it is the Big Bang of creation. And then there's the Ace of Cups, and that is a big cup overflowing, and that is like the first fresh emotional spring of joy that one is like the types of joy that you experience as a child. And then when you get older, your cups, you can still experience it, but it comes in different forms. It's like less innocent, and it's less pure. There's the Two of Cups, which I've talked about before, which is more of a reciprocation between you and another person, or you and something else. And then 3 is whenever you're able to expand to other people, most likely in a friendship setting, because everybody's got their one favorite. Even if you have lots and lots of friends, you're going to have a favorite. or favorites. And then there's the Four of Cups, which is like, sorry to itch my ear. There's the Four of Cups, which is like, you're ignoring. There's somebody that's offering their cup to you, and you're ignoring it because you've already got your cups that you need. And so there's like the different aspects of that. This Nine of Cups comes after the Eight of Cups, which is indolence. And at this point, the cups have at the Eight of Cups, the cups have sort of run dry because they have reached a point in their expansion where they're ready to move on. So there's the Six of Cups, which is pleasure, which in my mind is the type of emotional expansion where you love somebody, but it's a love with history, and it's a love that has grown, and it's got a thorough history. And then there is the Seven of Cups, which is where the heart starts to wander a little bit, maybe because of that history, that historic aspect is causing the heart to wander. The Eight of Cups is where the heart actually does wander off to another place. And then the Nine of Cups is sort of where it all comes full circle, and you've reached the zenith of your happiness because you've gone off and wandered, and either in your wandering you have found your true bliss in your journeys, or you have come back and realized that your true love was there with you all along. So it's kind of like finding true happiness through experience and through trial and error, and through experimentation. Even if it's with somebody familiar, you journey with that person. The stages of your love evolve, and you're moving towards. It's no longer puppy love, and it's no longer just love with a history because of love plus time, but it is a love that has matured because each person has grown together, and they have been on a journey together, and they have reached a kind of happiness that few people actually reach. Or maybe there's a lot. Okay, I take that back. Now, this can also apply to things. You don't need people in your life. This can apply to the happiness that comes with a career, or a hobby, or whatever, right? Or a feeling that you get with an animal. And this can also just be a feeling that is like that journey without actually having taken the journey. But I would like to think that if you're going to get this card and you're going to earn this card, you've gone through a journey of a certain amount of self-discovery in order to experience the kind of happiness that fills up an entire card and is just gushing and overflowing. The Ten of Cups is also a good card, but it's kind of like, it's like the happiness is starting to wind down and stagnate again. Like, it's still like a crowning achievement of happiness, but it's like after the 10 is the ace again. And actually, this Ace of Swords is the continuation after the 10 of Cups. But we're skipping the 10 of Cups. We have the 9 of Cups, and then there would be the 10 of Cups, and then next would be the Ace of Swords. So it's interesting to get these two cards. Let me think for 1 second to see how these two energies interact with one another. Well, first let me describe the Ace of Swords. So the Ace of Swords follows the same rules as the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Cups. It's sort of that new budding forth of the new energy. So Ace of Cups is a mental energy. So I might be coming down with a cold. I'm a little sniffly. So the Ace of Swords is a mental energy that comes after the winding down of the Ace of Cups and all of its frivolity and all of its celebration of all that it's emotionally accomplished. And now a new mental idea is springing forth. And actually you see the swords deal with air. And you see this sword is in the clouds and it's piercing this crown of light above it. It's that eureka moment when a new idea has come about. So when you reach your emotional fulfillment in life, it doesn't just stop there. A new idea is bound to spring forth. And now, all along your emotional journey, you could get this card anywhere, of course, in your emotional journey, and new ideas can spring forth. But this is sort of the natural progression in terms of the tarot. So, the way these two cards would play out. So let me talk a little bit more about this card. I've talked a lot about the cups. And this card is sort of a neutral card, because this can be a new idea for good or bad, but it's a brand new breath of fresh air. So it would naturally come after the Ten of Cups, and you've reached this, you've got your happily ever after with your family, and now you and your family that you have built through much emotional investment, you come to a new idea. And this new idea can be good or bad depending on what other cards surround it. And since this is the card that came with it, the new idea is regarding happiness and how to achieve this type of happiness, this type of overflowing happiness. Now, while I'm pondering the intermingling of these two cards, let's think about those words. New ideas concerning an overflowing happiness, which is the best happiness you can get. How does one find new ideas? How do you come across new ideas regarding it? That's one of like the biggest questions people ask themselves, because everybody wants happiness. Like, it's like the most popular emotion there is. People don't want to be sad a lot of the time. I mean, there's a band called Garbage that had a song called I'm Only Happy When It Rains. You know, there's emo people and people that sort of embrace their misery. And that is, of course, I mean, if that's what you are, and you can't see any way out of that, then I can understand embracing that. But if you get a new idea, you have a breakthrough, you have a mental breakthrough. Now, see, the mind is the most unforgiving suit, because the mind can become entangled in its own thoughts if there's not anything else to balance it out, usually some other kind of card. Now, and the wands, and the cups, and the pentacles, or the discs as they're called in the Thoth Tarot, the progression of the ace through the 10 is a lot lighter. It has some bad moments, But the five of wands is strife, which is basically just healthy competition. That's what I see. It's just basically competition. The five of cups is disappointment. You're disappointed that something didn't go your way, right? It can mean a loss. It can mean heartbreak, and heartbreak can be bad. The five of discs or pentacles can mean worry, anxiety over material loss. That's pretty weighty, right? Oh, my car broke down. Oh, I'm so worried about that. Oh, I might get evicted from my home. That's pretty bad too. The fives tend to be pretty bad of any of the suits. But the five of swords is defeat. And because it's of mental in nature, it means a mental defeat. Now, in other decks, it can also mean betrayal. Defeat by betrayal. And betrayal is pretty dark, right? In order to betray somebody, you have to deceive, and that requires mental deviousness. And all of the worst villainy is born out of a mental devious nature. And so, yeah, the swords are very unforgiving. But this card is a double-edged sword, literally, because it could go either way. You could have a breakthrough of a new idea for good or for bad. But since it deals with happiness, it's dealing with a breakthrough of a new idea for happiness. And that is something that people are striving to have at all times. They get mired in their own thoughts, whether it's their mundane life, whether it's a stagnation in a relationship, whether it's a job that they don't like. Something is happening in their physical world that caused their mental world to collapse, to have a sense of mental defeat. The Three of Swords is sorrow. The Seven of Swords is futility. The Eight of Swords is interference, where you're just all sorts of confused. The Nine of Swords is cruelty, where you're just staying up all night and just fretting and worrying. Oh my God, how am I going to pay these bills? How am I going to meet this deadline? And your mind is just attacking itself. And then finally there's the Ten of Swords, which is ruin, which is just a mind, it's just a total mental collapse. It could even mean a collapse because of an abrupt physical betrayal that affects your mind, where you just have a mental break and you're just ruined. I think that the Ten of Swords would apply to many homeless people that you see walking along the street, and they have mental derangement, either from having a mental ailment, or they just had a lot of traumatic stuff happen in their life, and it just finally eroded their brain to the point where there was no return from it. But luckily, those are not the things we're dealing with. We're dealing with this, and people strive to have these breakthroughs. And the thing about me as a determinist is I don't think, try as you might, I don't think that you can conjure these things on your own. I think that you have a mental health that you're born with, and if you have been able to maintain it, given your environment and then whatever habits you have learned along the way in your life, if you have a strong mental health, then you will reach these aha, eureka moments on how to reach this happiness, which is in many ways a goal that everybody is trying to achieve. And I think it's a very delicate balance to have these breakthroughs to achieve this, because there's a lot of different types of contentment that you can have. One can be very comfortable. It's very easy to be comfortable. It's very easy to be satisfied. It's very easy to be sated. Just basically sated. You know, you're just kind of okay. But to just be full of life and your heart is overflowing with joy, that is a hard thing to maintain. I think one way to have these mental breakthroughs is through meditation. Now, whether it occurs to you to do that or not depends on things in your environment. Like myself, if you happen to be watching this video, or if you just got the kind of mind to where you're like, yeah, you know what, I need to shut my brain off and fill my cup, allow my cup to fill up so I may overflow. But filling your cup up, it's more than just meditation. You have to go out into your world and make your world a place of happiness. And like I said, this is seasoned happiness. This isn't just that wellspring. And it's not just reciprocation, and it's not just the abundance of friendship. This is the kind of happiness that comes from stacking all the elements of happiness. Stacking love with history, with abundance and reciprocation, and learning how to juggle all those things. And finding the idea for that, I believe, is a goal that everybody should pursue. And it's not for me to say how one would go about doing that, because it's all up to your own mind. It's tailor-made for you to discover. And with that, that is the end of my psychological tarot freestyle. I'm Gurley Vines, signing off. I hope you find a good idea today on how to achieve pure happiness. Dropped it. See ya.